last video, we were talking about books that we loved, so we thought today we would do the opposite of that and talk about some books we didn't necessarily love. As you guys know, as readers, we read a bunch of books that we do like, we read a bunch of books that we don't like, and then there are those couple of books that we just wish we never read.
Some of these books are pretty popular, but if we end up not liking a book that y'all love, it is okay. It happens with us all of the time, and we're all still friends. So no hard feelings. Everyone experiences books differently. That's what makes it so fun.
And also no hate to the authors ever. Just because we didn't connect with the book does not mean it's a bad book. It just wasn't our favorite.
So sorry in advance for us being so negative in this video. We're just gonna tell you why we didn't click with these books. Up first, I have Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. Now let me explain something, because I love Tessa Bailey, but this series in particular, I did not like. If I started out with this series with Tessa Bailey, I don't think I would pick up another book by her. But also, this made me realize that I don't like insta lust. I would rather sit here and read a full book about miscommunication. So I did read this one, and then I read Unfortunately Yours, and unfortunately that one wasn't good either to me. But I loved It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, but these just were not it for me, and that's okay. I still gave it 3 stars, so it wasn't like horrible, but I wish I never read it because it made me not have the best track record with Tessa Bailey.
The first book I have here is highly loved. You guys have probably heard me talk about it before, but it is Carball by Stephanie Garber. This is a YA fantasy about a mesmerizing competition. There's a romance involved. Those are things that I really love in books. So I was surprised to see that I didn't like it in this one. My main problem stemmed from our main character. I just did not like her, and I think that created a separation from the jump. I also wanted to see more of the competition in the actual trials. I don't doubt that I would have loved this if I read it maybe when I was younger, but at this point in my reading journey, this one missed the mark for me.
Y'all had warned me about this one, and I should have listened. It is Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty. This is also one of those where I read this whole book, and at the end I'm like, what was it all for? And I wanted to read this because the adaptation was coming out, but it's just something different about sitting here and reading a book for 8 hours and then being let down. I'd rather be let down in a TV show.
So either way, you were let down.
Yeah, but I knew what was gonna happen, so it was fine. I didn't even want to watch the adaptation after reading this, but I'm glad that I did. It had good actors in it. So if you haven't read this one, don't read it just to watch it on TV.
The next book I have is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. If you go read my Goodreads review on this, I literally say I wish I could go back in time and stop myself from reading this book. I don't even think I was being dramatic at that point, because this was so disappointing in the sense that I really enjoyed most of the book. I was intrigued, I liked the characters, the romance I was kind of getting on board with. I love that it had action, I love the different kingdoms. It was a good book up until I had about this much left of the book. This little piece completely shattered my perception of this book, and I'm so mad that I can still remember how I felt when I finished it. I just feel like it had so much potential, and then the end just became gross and predictable and disgusting. Against my better judgment, I did continue reading this series, but I wish I hadn't. I think I stopped at about book 3. I just can't believe that's where they decided to go with this book. I get why people like this series, but looking back, I just wish I never would have even started it.
Another popular one I have is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I was expecting way more mystery, but the readers learn early on who is responsible for the disturbing things that are happening, and then after that it just kind of turns into a survival book, and there were a few twists in there that I didn't think were that surprising. I think I'm just not a fan of that survival slasher kind of book. I did end up giving Taylor Adams another chance with The Last Word, but it was kind of the same vibe, and I can understand why people would like that. It's just not for me.
The next book I have is a darker romance, and it was Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. This was book 1 in the Monsters and Muses series. I know there's a bunch of different books in the series. I don't know how, because I really did not like this first book. This was another one of those lightly inspired Hades and Persephone type of stories. This one just really didn't do it for me. There were some spicy scenes that could be entertaining, I suppose, but I was never connected enough with these characters to care about those spicy scenes. I remember this plot just felt super disorganized. The start of the story, you're kind of thrown in, and it felt like I needed a prequel to understand everything that was happening. The story was just a little bit underdeveloped. The romance felt forced, and it just felt like I was waiting for something to happen, and it never came. So this one just missed the mark for me completely. I did not want to continue on with the series. I've read better Hades and Persephone retellings and I've read better dark romances. So this one, kind of mad that I even wasted my time on it. There was also this weird thing with like reopening cuts and it was like really gross. I'd say if you're looking for a mafia romance, do not pick this one up.
The next one I have, y'all might be mad at me for, but it is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I don't know what happened here, and I'm very confused because my Goodreads review has a 3.5, which is a pretty good rating, but I fully had this in my unhaul stack, so I don't know what happened here. I honestly don't really remember what happened in this book. I think I remember caring more about the people and less about the actual heist that was going on in this book, so I think that's where I lost my connection with it. But I don't know, maybe I need to read it again. I do own the second book as well and never read that one. Maybe this one would be interesting to see if I reread it, if I'd feel the same way. And it has like a 4.48 on Goodreads with a bunch of reviews, so maybe we'll see later if I change my mind on this one.
The next book I have is no surprise to anyone if you've watched the channel before. It's the worst book I've ever read, and it was The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I won't get too into this one. I just personally thought it was going to be a super interesting, intriguing mystery thriller with crazy twists and turns, and this was just laughable to me. The plot is about a woman who works at a penitentiary, and she discovers that her ex is one of the inmates, and the reason he's in there is because of her. That part sounded interesting to me. My issue just was in the writing. It felt like Frida McFadden was trying to make this a crazy, unpredictable story, but she was doing too much of that it felt ridiculous. I just couldn't believe what I was reading, to be honest. I will say though, it was fast-paced. I read it in one sitting. I just can't believe that that's an actual published book. But I've heard a common thing about Frida McFadden books in that she publishes so many books, people think that she rushes through writing them, and that's definitely how The Inmate felt to me.
This next one I have here is a pretty recent read, and it is super popular. It is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. Here's where I think the disconnect started. I thought this was going to be a mystery thriller because it's about a kid that went missing and they're trying to like figure out what happened, but it was a literary fiction. So there was a lot of characters, there was a lot of time jumping, and there was just a lot of words and not enough action and not enough mystery. It was like we were being told a story and I wanted to be in the story. So there was just too many characters for me, too many different plot lines. I didn't see the end coming, but at that point of this really thick book, I was just so ready for it to be over. And honestly, I think this has kickstarted my horrible reading slump that I've been in. I think maybe if I went into this and knowing it was going to be a literary fiction, then maybe my feelings would be a little bit different. I'm so glad that so many people love it though. For me, I'm just a little salty that I wasted so much time on a book that has me in this really bad reading slump. I'm not blaming my reading slump all on this book, but she definitely kickstarted it.
The next book I have was like kind of a random read for me, but I picked it up originally because I wanted something like the Summer I Turned Pretty series. I thought this was going to be similar and it absolutely was not. It was The Invincible Summer by Hannah Moskowitz. I didn't even write a review for this book. I think I gave it 1 star. I do remember there was a crazy amount of quotes from The Stranger by Albert Camus. I mean, these characters were obsessed with that book. So much so that I went out of my way to buy The Stranger by Albert Camus so I can read it and see what these characters were on about. But it was just excessive at that point. I just remember really being disappointed by this book. I would have gotten rid of it and unhauled it a long time ago, but I kept it for this specific reason in case we ever talked about the worst books we've ever read.
Another one I have is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I remember disliking every single character in this book, and I have to like at least one person when I read a story. Everybody was just super unlikable, and I guess the twist right away, and I kept feeling like this story wanted to be a romance, which is interesting because Rachel Hawkins is also Erin Sterling, who writes all those super cute holiday themed romances, and I love those. So love Erin Sterling, but I don't love her Rachel Hawkins mystery thriller alias.
The next one I have is Very Bad People by Kit Frick. I picked this one up because I loved I Killed Zoe Spanos by Kit Frick, and I think that's why this was such a disappointing read, because following up that book, this one missed the mark for me. This was a YA mystery. It took place at like a boarding school and there was a secret society. It had all of these elements that I thought I would like, but I just didn't love the execution of anything. This wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but because I loved the other Kit Frick book I read so much, this one I just wish I would have never read because I'd love to think highly of Kit Frick.
This was one that I actually DNF'd, and it is Shipwrecked by Olivia Dade. Here's the thing about me.
Tell me.
I don't ever want to DNF. There's a lot of times where I feel like I probably should DNF. I'm probably just gonna give this book 3 stars and I'll just force myself to finish the book. But this book, I could not get myself to finish it. I couldn't put myself through it. And I'm so sad because I thought this plot was going to be very good since they're 2 actors and I always love books like that, but I just could not. I can't with the insta-lush trope or the insta hookup trope and then you have to try and act like you don't feel anything after that. So I'm wondering if I would like something else from Olivia Dade because I know she is a very popular author, but this one just didn't do it for me.
The last book I wish I would never read is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. You guys know, I feel like we talk about this book a lot because we disliked it, but hopefully this is the last time I talk about it. This is the first book in the Twisted series. It's a very loved series, I feel like, and everyone does say that the series gets better as you read, but after reading this book, I was just beyond disappointed because I was so excited for the series. I thought I was gonna love it. I bought all 4 books because I thought that it was gonna be like a new favorite series of mine, and it didn't end up that way. I didn't like the romance. I felt like it was really forced. It said it was going to be brother's best friend, and it didn't really feel like that trope at all. What really did it for me is around the 3rd act breakup, the way that they were trying to make up was super cliche and just really awkward and cringe. There was singing involved, there was an airport, I don't know, I don't remember, I've blocked most of it out. I just know that wanting to love it so much and then being so disappointed made me feel like I wish I would have never read it. All that being said, I do want to continue on with the series. It's just taking me a really long time to do so.
The last one I have is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Why does this have a 4.31 on Goodreads with over 1 million reviews? I just could not connect. I thought I was such a historical fiction girly, which I still am, but I don't know, I thought this was like one of the historical fiction books and I thought I was gonna love it, but it felt like I just could not connect. It felt like I was forced to read this from school. I kept feeling confused with the 2 different storylines, and I wanted to read this before the adaptation came out, but after I read it, I didn't even want to watch the adaptation, but I should because it looks really good. And maybe I would appreciate it more if I did watch it, but I just didn't love this one.
That is enough negativity for today. That is all of the books that we brought to talk about. Those are all of the books that we wish we never read. Again though, if you liked some of these, that is completely fine. We love some books that are definitely hated, but that's what makes reading fun, that we all have different opinions and like different things. Maybe soon we could do the opposite of this video and do a all the books we wish we read sooner because we love so many books. But overall, this one was fun to do, and even though these missed the mark for us, they hit the mark for a lot of other people.
Let us know if you agree with some of these or let us know if you loved some of these. Also tell us, which books do you wish you never read?
That's pretty much it for today's video though. Let us know what videos you want to see from us. We do love doing the recommendation videos. Those are a little bit more positive, so if you have any of those in mind, let us know what you want to see. Also make sure to follow us on TikTok. We are going to be more active on there, and we have moved our reading sprints onto the TikTok platform, so definitely check those out. We are bringing back the reading sprints, so if you guys want to read with us, definitely go follow.
Make sure to join our Literal Besties Book Club. This month we are reading The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Lori Gilmore.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry we were so negative. Next video we won't be. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys next time. I don't know if it was just that book for me specifically that I didn't enjoy, but I honestly have no interest in trying to read anything else from her right now. That book was just absolutely insane. It still feels like a joke. I can't tell if she's kidding.
Okay.
These are the books that keep me up at night.
You're that mad it keeps you up at night?
It keeps me up at night. I hate looking at them on my shelves. I can't believe I wasted my time and read them. There's not too many we have here, but there are quite a few. Oh no, dude, I don't know.
Not the opposite.
Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I was gonna say I didn't know what it was about this book that I didn't like, but I do know.
Okay.
Okay.
You want some more water?
No, I'm just waiting for the ice to melt.